March 13th, 2026. Happy Friday the 13th, everyone. You know, we all like to think we're safe in our quiet little suburbs, but do you really know who lives next door? Tonight's story isn't a campfire legend, it's a living, breathing nightmare. My roommate George and I have been co-workers and friends for years. We carpool every day, living that typical 9-to-5 life. About 2 weeks ago, a new neighbor moved in. We never saw him unpack, never saw a moving truck. Honestly, we didn't even know what he looked like. On the third day, George and I decided to be good neighbors and stop by to say hi. We knocked, but no one answered, even though his car was sitting right there in the driveway. As we were walking away, George grabbed my arm and whispered, "Look at the front window." I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. Someone was peeking through a tiny gap in the blinds, just staring at us with this dead, unblinking gaze. Right then, we knew this guy wasn't normal. That night, around 1 a.m., I started hearing weird noises. It was a humid night, about 72 degrees, so we had our upstairs windows wide open. From my room, I have a clear view of his backyard. I pulled back the curtain and saw him, this massive guy in a heavy hoodie, hunched over, hacking away at a large piece of wood. Who wears a hoodie while doing manual labor at 1 a.m. in that heat? It was unsettling, to say the least. Do you really know who's watching you from across the fence? To find out how this nightmare ends, hit that subscribe button right now, because the real monsters aren't from fairy tales, they're flesh and blood. A few nights later, I was bolted awake again. This time, it wasn't a mechanical sound. It was a scream, sharp, terrified, and muffled, coming right through the walls of that house. I peeked out the window and saw him frantically dragging a heavy black plastic bag inside. Suddenly, he froze. He turned and looked directly up at my window. I dove back into the shadows, praying he hadn't seen me. George and I didn't wait. We dialed 911 immediately. While we were upstairs waiting for the cops, a deafening crash echoed from downstairs. Someone had just kicked in our back door. George screamed into the phone, "Send someone now! He's inside the house!" We stood in the hallway listening to heavy footsteps pounding up the stairs. The guy kicked open the bathroom door, then charged toward George's room. We threw our entire body weight against the wood, bracing it. He started slamming something heavy against the wood over and over. We were shaking, terrified of what kind of weapon he had. Then, suddenly, total silence. We eventually worked up the nerve to head downstairs. The house was pitch black. Suddenly, I saw a shadow move behind the dining table. The guy lunged at us. We scrambled back upstairs, locked ourselves in the bathroom, and stayed there until we heard a booming voice from below. "Police, hands up, get on the ground." We ran down to find the officers had him pinned. A long, serrated knife was lying on the floor. But the real horror was yet to come. The cops raided the neighbor's house and found a woman chained up in the basement. She was the one screaming that night. And that bag he was dragging in the yard, it contained a decomposing body. Turns out, our quiet neighbor was a serial killer who'd been hopping states, changing identities to stay off the radar. Did this story kill your peace of mind tonight? Let me know in the comments. Are you 100% sure about your neighbors? Share your stories with us. What kind of pure psychological horror or true crime cases should I dive into next? Let me know. If you liked this video, share it with your friends. Thanks for watching until the very end. I'll see you in the next mystery. Stay subscribed. And hey, before you turn off the lights, take a peek through your blinds. Is someone in the dark window next door watching you? Be careful. Someone might be tracking your every move.